Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Tonight, I'm taking a look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends Marvel Knights, Elektra and Daredevil. Now, I just finished Defenders over the weekend. I've had a day or two to stew on it, to think about it, and you know what? I dug it. It's like live-action comic book. Yes, there is some plot holes. Yes, there is some stuff where you kind of go, what the hell did he just do? But I still loved it. And on top of that, it made me excited about finally cracking open the Daredevil here, and then Elektra. Now, looking at the package, your standard Marvel Legends box, you have the big window. It shows most of everything that's in the two packages. It has the Man-Thing Build-A-Figure parts. On the sides, you have the artsy pictures of both Elektra and Daredevil from the show. And when I say the show, I mean Daredevil Season 2, not Defenders. On the back, pretty promotional pictures. You have their bios. You have their half-wanted pictures of the rest of the figures in the wave. You have the Man-Thing Build-A-Figure. And down here, you have the warnings, the unreadables. It probably says something like, even in the dark, this figure has just as much chance to fall off the shelf as any other figure. On this side, the same pictures as from the other side. On the top, you have the logos for both Elektra and Daredevil. On the bottom, legalese and barcodes for each. So I'm going to get this open and see exactly what is going on here. And there we go, all out of the package. And there's a mixed bag here. I like them, but there's some downfalls. Now, before I get too far into this, I got my case from Dorkside Toys. They usually put up Marvel Legends either loose, packaged, as sets, in a case, however you want to order them. Now, the loose figures do go pretty fast, so they may not be up at this moment, but if you need any figures from this set, or the Thor set, or any other Marvel Legends you may be looking for, DorksideToys.com. Now, looking at Elektra here, the sculpt is nice, and it is reused. We've seen the lower abdomen, we've seen the pants, we've seen the feet, and that all comes from Mary Jane, from the Mary Jane Spider-Man 2-pack. And then that was originally shown as the Netflix Jessica Jones. But we're seeing a new upper torso here, we're seeing a new head, and then we're seeing, I think, new arms? I'm not quite sure there, but that's where my kind of problem with this figure comes into play. But the newly sculpted parts, it does look nice, if not a little bit out of place. I don't know if it's paint or if it is the sculpt. I'm pretty sure it's the paint. Because then when you get around to paint, on the upper torso, the black is a little bit shinier than the rest of the body. The rest of the body is a matte color. I don't know why it's different on this top part. And it's kind of the same with the red, if you want to compare the red on the collar and the shirt to the gloves. The gloves, again, matte red, more of a shiny red up on the upper torso. But that does match up on the head. The red there, it is also shiny, so there's not as much contrast between the body and the head. This masked head, it does look like Elektra from the Netflix series. And I think it's mostly because half of her face is covered up. But I like the sculpt here. I like the hair. It's nicely detailed. The ponytail sticking out the back. It's dynamic while not looking like it's blowing in the wind. And then, of course, the photo real tech work on the eyes and maybe the skin tone, but it's mostly apparent in the eyes and the eyebrows. Over on Daredevil, the overall sculpt, it's one of those figures that you can just find something new every time you pick it up and look at it. The texture, too, most of the costume, there's some black parts that are a little bit flat, but even those look like armor panels or something like that. It's an interesting look all over. And then on top of that, the paintwork from top to bottom matches, so it's a little bit better than the Elektra figure. And for as much as red to black to red to black to red to black, a little bit of silver here and there, as much as there is of that, the paint is fairly clean all over. Getting up to the head, I like the sculpt. It looks like Daredevil from the series. I'm not one of those people that are going to nitpick it, that, you know, this part of the helmet is actually from his first costume. This is season 2 over here. This isn't accurate to the costume that he was wearing at this point. I don't know all that. I don't pay that close attention to all that. This looks like Daredevil. I do have my gripes, but I'll get into that here in a second. And the paint is really nice and clean up here. I wish that the lenses for the eyes looked more like the show, where it's that shiny, shimmery red against the flatter red of the helmet or cowl or mask or whatever you want to call it. And if I didn't know any better, I think they photo-reeled the lower face. Even though I think that it helps most with eyes, the little bit of scruff here does come through along with the lip color. Looking over Elektra, I think my biggest gripe are her forearms, and I've seen a lot of people mention this too. It's just the size of them. They go from here and then pop eye out down here. It just doesn't look good in the overall proportions. I mean, her upper torso does seem a little bit thin, but I feel like the actress that played Elektra is kind of built like that. But you get to the arms, yeah, she doesn't miss arm day. And then, of course, the gripe from this black to this black. You can definitely see it. Over on the Daredevil figure, I feel like the proportions are a little bit blocky here, making him kind of like stiff, but you put it in a little bit of action and that seems to fade away. It doesn't bother me as much. Why didn't anybody tell me these two buckles here kind of formed a D and a D for Daredevil since he doesn't have it on his chest? Am I the last person to figure that out? And then up on the head, looking at pictures, yeah, this is mostly the Season 2 helmet, I think. Like I said, I couldn't tell you. I don't pay a lot of attention to that. But one thing I did notice in the show is that his nose always looks scrunched up back. And it kind of changes his look, actually, for the face, which is not a bad idea whenever you're trying to keep your identity secret. And the figure does a good job of conveying that, but I feel like his nose should be sticking down out from under this more. Going over articulation, there's ball going up into the head on a hinge in the neck. Good range down, good range up, quite a bit of tilt. Then there's swivel. It is easy to get her head off kilter to where it looks like it's too big. Like if you're jutting forward, and if I was to take the picture like that, it would look funky. So kick it back, put it up on top, it looks right. Hinge and swivel at the shoulder, comes up to about right there, comes around, and that also emphasizes another little thing that stuck out at me. I don't know if this is too thin, but the torso started to shear right there. You can see the plastic piece coming off of it. Hinge and swivel at the elbow, doesn't quite make 90. Then there's swivel. Hinge and swivel at the wrist, hinge, swivel. Ball in the mid-torso, good range of movement. It goes all over the place. Hinge and swivel at the hips, comes up, pretty much 90. Goes back, not at all. Out, not terrible. Swivel at the thigh, double knee, nearly comes all the way up. Hinge at the ankle, goes back, goes forward, and then forward facing pin for rocker. For Daredevil, he's got a ball going up into the head with a hinge in the neck, but because they didn't concave it enough and he has this collar sticking up, he can't really look up a lot. Looking down, not bad at all. He buries his chin. Again, because of the lack of concaveness, I don't know if that's a word. He doesn't get a lot of tilt. And then swivel. His head is very easy to pop off too. If you get too crazy with it, trying to tilt back to get him to look up, well, he's looking up more. I guess because of the, oh, okay. If you shift forward and back, shift forward, he gets good range forward. Well, see, like I said, it pops off easily. If you shift back and then kick up, he can look up. So it's like I just fixed it without doing a damn thing. Hinge and swivel at the shoulder, comes up. The detents are a little bit heavy there. And then it swivels around. Swivel at the bicep. Double elbow almost comes all the way up. The armor on the bracer right there kind of runs into the bicep. Hinge and swivel at the wrist. Hinge, swivel. Hinge in the torso, you get almost 2 clicks forward. Not bad range at all. And then back. Swivel at the waist. Hinge and swivel at the hips. It comes up to about right there before it crashes into the crotch. So not quite 90, but if you push out, it gets the rest of the way. Back a little bit. Out, not bad. Swivel at the thigh. Double knee. Again, the armor kind of gets in the way. There's actually a swivel below this armor piece for the boot. Hinge at the ankle, goes back, goes forward, and then forward facing pin for rocker. For accessories, Elektra comes with 2 sai. Nice little sculpt here, even though the plastic is just a little bit soft. Not terrible, but it is easy to warp them. And that goes in her hand really easy, like so. But her right hand is sculpted to hold it that ninja style, you know what I mean? Because of the softness of the sai, you have to kind of kick out her fingers and try to shove it in there before it closes back up. It's easy to get her thumb jammed up under there too. You got to kind of kick it out. But once you get it in there, not bad at all. It's a nice look. And then she also comes with an alternate head. I'm not quite sure how much this actually looks like the actress that played Elektra in the Daredevil Netflix series. It looks good. In fact, the makeup looks fantastic. There's a little blush to the cheeks. The eyes look great. They're both facing forward. They look very realistic. The eyebrows are nice. The lip color's nice. And for a $20 action figure, the likeness is good. But sometimes I look at it and I see Famke Janssen, maybe? And even a little bit of, you know, Jennifer Garner. So it's multi-purpose. But because of the hair and stuff, I think with a repaint, Kitty Pryde, but that has nothing to do with this review at all. But the thing about it, man, it's tough to change her hair out. I don't know if it's the size of the ball, but you gotta line it up just right and then get it on there. Flipping over to Daredevil, for his accessories, in the package he comes with 2 grip hands, and then he comes with an extra set of fists, which is my go-to look for this Daredevil. He's either kicking ass or getting his ass kicked. Either way, He's always, you know, using fists. And to switch those out, they just pull out, plug the other one in, no trouble at all there. And then he comes with his 2 billy clubs. Again, a little bit soft. They're easy to bend or warp. One billy club comes with a peg on the end of it. You can plug the 2 together, get a longer, not staff, just longer stick, I guess. Here's both figures with the Netflix Punisher from this same Marvel Legends series. Looks great. I'm not sure of the actual actor's heights, but I'm kind of good with Punisher being slightly taller than even Daredevil. Here they are with the Jessica Jones from this series, again from the Netflix show, her show, or Defenders, whichever you want to use. She didn't have much of a costume change between the 2 shows. Good size. Matt is taller than Jessica. She's about the same size as Elektra. It works for me. And the scarf is from the Black series Jen Erso. It's not perfect. It looks nothing like the show, but it adds just a little bit of oomph. She wore the scarf so much I had to put something on there. And if you wanted to use these on your comic shelf, works there too. Daredevil's about the same size as Black Panther, and I feel like that's close enough. So at the end of the day, great additions to the shelf, but if anything really got my goat, it's how not difficult. They aren't easy to throw into poses. Sometimes you pick up a figure, you throw them down, you put them in an action pose, you're like, holy shit, that looks great. These aren't like that for some reason. I don't know if it's the stiffness of the joints or the softness of plastic here and there. Even though they look great in a lot of action poses, it's a little bit frustrating to get there. And I hate to even gripe about that because I'm the last person to go, well, you got to put in a little work, hate it. No. I feel like you always have to put in a little work to get good pictures of your action figures. It's just that these, stiff. I don't know. But they do look good. They remind me of the show. They work as show figures, and that's exactly what I wanted out of these. Someday, yeah, I'd kind of like an updated look, but we never get updated looks of any of the figures. There's always going to be changes made. I know they do that to sell more merchandise or to change the look so you don't get bored, but I absolutely love Charlie Cox as Daredevil, so I wouldn't mind an updated look for him. And for Elektra from Defenders, she had more of that classic wrapped look to her. We've already heard of the Spider-Man leak where Daredevil and Elektra is coming in a future Spider-Man Legends series. I'm hoping those are comic book. So I don't need updated looks from the show right off the bat, but if sometime in the future they decide to give it to us, I wouldn't gripe too much. Another couple of great figures from what I feel like is a great series of Marvel Legends. Kind of those street level heroes and, well, one villain. But now I really, really need a Luke Cage in Iron Fist. I'm kind of hoping that they wait until Iron Fist gets a proper costume, but either way, I need to finish the Defenders. So if you like the review, comment, like, subscribe. I'll catch you on the Fwoosh.